Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Equitas Insights. Today we have Rob Green, who's the founder of Rectec. Thank you, Rob, for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Amazing. So, for those who don't know what Rectec is about, could you give a little overview about that, please?
Sure. So Rectec is an organization that provide recruitment technology consultancy and recruitment technology comparison services. So organizations in the corporate space looking for applicant tracking systems, for example, or organizations in the recruitment industry looking for a recruitment CRM, we provide a fee-free tool that helps organizations to find the right tools for their needs very, very quickly.
Amazing. In a nutshell. Cool. So can you tell us, why exactly did you start Rectec? Just give us a bit of a story behind that.
Sure. So I've worked in the recruitment industry for 16 years through a variety of roles spanning recruitment agency, RPO, talent acquisition, and also I spent 5.5 years working for an ATS vendor as well. So I had a lot of experience of helping organizations to find and implement the right technology for their needs. And it's really, really difficult when you're looking for tech right now. There are so many solution providers out there, and the industry is evolving so quickly that most people don't know where to start. And, because the industry is moving so fast, and because there are so many new solutions popping up all over the place, it's incredibly tough for an organization that's looking for tech to keep on top of what the options are. So I wanted to create a service that made that process much, much easier for organizations to identify the right solution for their needs. And that's wrapped in a range of professional services as well to support them at every step of that journey.
So tell us about Rectec Compare. How exactly did that come about?
Well, I actually came up with the concept of a recruitment technology comparison tool in about 2017 when I was working with HireServe. And, I'd often get approached by organizations that were trying to solve this problem. And they were doing that with enormous spreadsheets where they would try and get vendor data into this spreadsheet and then provide a link on their website or whatever so organizations could go out there and see what technology solutions were available. And I noticed that not only were they incredibly difficult to use, but there was also no validation of the data that went into those spreadsheets either. So the value that it added to the end user was really, really minimal. And I saw a potential here, an opportunity to actually digitize that whole process and make it much quicker and much easier to use by building a piece of technology that did all of the hard work in the background. So I sat on that idea for a couple of years because I convinced myself that surely somebody's already working on evolving this particular proposition. I saw a gap in the market, I put pen to paper, but I really didn't do anything with it for a couple of years. I wanted to make sure that, I didn't go and put my life and soul into building something that somebody else was already working on. So 2019, I founded Rectec, and that was initially just providing consultancy services whilst we developed the MVP. And that took us around about 17 months to get that to market. Meanwhile, we were developing lots of vendor partnerships and so on.
Wow. So let's think of it like this. I mean, you identified a pain point. You obviously had a lot of experience in that area, and you provided a solution. And obviously, I know it took a process, but I mean, you provided something that's accessible to all users, which I think is incredible. So yeah.
Initially, my initial plan was just to launch this to the ATS market. Yeah. And as I started developing the technology, I realized how quick and easy we could make that. To compare and match other other solutions. So, and that's kind of what that's what led us into the recruitment CRM market as well. And my experience wasn't really in the recruitment CRM market, although my my recruitment career started in the agency market. My technology experience was all pretty much in the corporate space, but I saw another opportunity there to kind of extend what we were doing, and that actually was a wonderful decision. It did set us back by a few months because we basically needed to develop another part of the tool and engage with lots of other vendors. But that was one of the best things we did, was to actually expand the offering.
So one quick question, just one else. Did you find with all the different types of vendors, obviously every vendor has different needs and different requirements, some large, some big, and did you realize that that your product was actually serving all their different types of needs, or was it just as you were developing the product, you realized that, okay, it needed to be expanded for different types of vendors?
So our focus in the beginning was just to compare applicant tracking systems and match our clients to the right applicant tracking system for their needs. And I identified that actually this solution would work really well in the agency space as well. And that also then kind of snowballed into, well, what about all of the other different types of tech out there? So we basically have developed the tech that allows us to compare any type of software solution. And that's something that I think over time we'll probably get to. In the interim, we've developed a really compelling marketplace that sits alongside Rectec Compare, and that's working really well as well. We've engaged with lots of other different vendor types, such as remote interviewing, programmatic advertising, job marketing, onboarding, screening, referencing, diversity and inclusion. The list goes on. Anyone that works in this industry knows how many different problems there are in a recruitment process, and how many different tools have popped up in the market to solve those specific problems. And really the role that we're playing in this industry is to help the organizations that we work with to actually identify where they're going to get value. So looking at their recruitment process, for example, from end to end, looking at who's involved in the process, what their pain points are, what technology is available in the market that's likely to add value to what they're doing. And then it's a case of identifying an objective list of requirements, feeding them into our tool, which takes on average 26 minutes. That's really, really fast if you think about how long it would take an organization not only to identify the right vendors they should be looking at or the right solutions they should be looking at, but also thinking about what their requirements are as well. These things take a long time. And typically, if you're a corporate organization looking for an ATS, you're spending like 8 to 12 weeks looking at the market before you narrow down who you want to have a demonstration with. This makes that so much faster. It gives you all of the things that you should be thinking about, gives you a really quick and easy interface to say, is this something that's going to add value? And also, to what degree does it add value? We call that a factor rating. So you highlight what your requirements are, and then you indicate a weight against that requirement. And then we use that weight as part of our matching algorithm to make sure that we're matching the right vendors based on not just the needs, but the significance of those needs for our customers.
Amazing. So I even think about it when I think of vendors. I mean, it probably takes them, some of them probably don't even know what they're looking for at the moment. They know they're looking for a solution, but something that can really make their lives easier. This is definitely making it a lot easier, more accessible, even just for that brand awareness part of things. I think it's a lot of times it's marketing, as I know from experience. It's sometimes hard to really get your name out there. So I think from the clients who actually use you guys, I think it's a great way to build those brand awareness, but also for users who really don't know what they're looking for at times. They just want to kind of explore what is out there, and they might come across something they've never actually heard before, but actually is a solution they've been waiting for their entire.
It happens all the time. Yeah, no, it's a great point. I think a lot of the organizations that we work with, they're working with us because they need help. Not only is our solution free, but it really does add a lot of value to their decision-making process. And it also gives them a huge amount of confidence as well that the solution provider they've chosen is the right one for their needs. And that was one of the reasons why we built our evaluation tool into the platform. So once we've produced a short list of the best matching vendors, we then provide a tool that allows the client to evaluate those vendors through demonstration. So let's say, for example, we've worked with lots of big organizations like Arriva and Sky and Goodyear Tires, and lots of big organizations have used our platform. Once they've got their shortlist, they look at a specific vendor. That vendor gives them a demonstration, and they use our tool to evaluate that vendor based on the requirements that they input into the tool in the first place. And it's really, really quick and easy to use. It's a star rating system. When the vendor's giving you a demonstration, it allows you to make sure that you're evaluating them all fairly and consistently. And secondly, you're not missing anything that you need, you've indicated as a requirement. You're not missing that from the demonstration. And you're able to actually, just on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, rate your feedback on that specific feature and how well it meets your needs. So when you finish that evaluation, we add that evaluation score onto their shortlist. And therefore, we're putting them in a position where they can see our match score. How did we rate that particular vendor against their requirements? And secondly, how did they rate the demonstration based on their specific needs? There's only so much, I suppose, our product can look at. Every organization that looks at a piece of software has a subjective set of requirements. What do we want it to look like? How are our users going to engage with it? Is it a modern user interface? Is it fast? We're really measuring vendors based on the problems that they solve, the functionality that they provide, and so on. And then we're providing our customers with a way of being able to actually provide their own feedback based on what they see during those demonstrations. And I think that bit's key. People don't just make decisions based on functionality. They make a decision based on how well users are likely to adopt that software.
Yes, that's very true, and that's I think that's a lot very key for a lot of users out
Mm.
there. So amazing that you're actually bringing that into the platform. So that's great. So what would you say? Do you believe like every company needs an ATS? Like, I mean, I know a lot of companies come like when they think of a piece of recruitment technology. I'm
Mm.
pretty sure like a lot of people think ATS. But like, what's your opinion? Do you think every company needs one, or
I mean, the short answer is no. I mean, for me, it's all about volumes of recruitment.
yeah,
If you're an organization, for example, that recruits 10 people a year, then you can probably manage perfectly well without an applicant tracking system.
mm,
The other thing to consider, though, is even though the volumes might be low, volumes of vacancies might be low, the volumes of applicants might still be very high,
yeah,
depending on what kind of roles you're recruiting for. And therefore, we still want to make sure that we give those candidates the very best experience. And we also need to think about the value that an ATS can bring. It's not just about helping us to manage candidates through a process. It's also about making sure that they get a great experience, that our career site's great, that the application process is quick and easy, and that there's so many things that an ATS can bring to an organization that isn't necessarily just about managing volumes of recruitment. So it's definitely worth considering, even if you're a smaller organization, even if you're 50 employees, and you only recruit 5 to 10 people a year, you're at the point now where you should start thinking about this and start thinking about where an ATS can add value outside of just helping you to track applicants through a process. It goes a lot beyond that these days.
yeah. No, I totally understand. That's great. And so what would you who well, and this is a funny question, but do you have like any favorite ATS at the moment? Like, I mean, you don't have to mention the whole favorite list, but I maybe
I No, I mean, I couldn't possibly pick a favorite, to be honest. No, I mean, for me, it's all about, they're all different. And it's
yeah,
about
I can
which
imagine.
one of those solutions or applicant tracking systems is right for our clients based on their specific needs.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that every client that uses our platform has a unique set of requirements. And
I
what I can also tell you is that every ATS vendor that we work with has a unique set of features. So there's this common misconception in the market that every applicant tracking system is the same. And I think that in itself leads people down the wrong path, because they'll be looking for an ATS and they'll think, okay, well, look, I need to make sure that the business can see that I've done my due diligence. So I'll go out there and I'll pick 5, and from that 5, we'll pick whichever one is best. And the fact is, picking those initial 5 to look at, that's the hardest part, because you're not going to know necessarily what you're looking for until you know what you need. So actually basing that initial shortlist of vendors on a set of requirements is really, really important. And that's what our tool does. It makes that much, much quicker and easier. It takes on average just 26 minutes to get from, logging into our platform to having a shortlist of the best matching vendors. That's the bit where I think we add the most value.
Yeah. Okay. So you would advise, people who are looking for an ATS maybe to like instead of them to just Google like ATS into like and just like list like take the first 5, so you think that okay, the SEO must be impressive and like these must be best ones. They
Yeah,
should actually like figure out what their requirements are and see which one actually
100%. Don't do it any other way.
okay.
If you Google applicant tracking system, you're going to get about 36 million results. The top 4 of those results are probably going to be the directories. So, the likes of G2, Capterra, Software Advice, GetApp, for example, which, by the way, I don't know if many people know this, but they're all owned by the same organization called Gartner. So
Okay.
they basically have that market. And if you think about this, you're looking for an applicant tracking system, you've landed on a directory, and you've now got, I'll tell you how many there are in the UK and Ireland. If you're looking for an applicant tracking system or a recruitment CRM, and you go and look at the recruitment software category, you get 709 solutions. And the
Oh,
ones at the top of that list are the ones that are paying them the most money to be there. And I guess it always leads to the question, are we looking for the ATS solution that's the best fit for our requirements, or are we looking for the ATS solution that's got the biggest marketing budget? And I think, it's always the former. We're looking for the right ATS solution.
yeah.
So directories are great in the sense that they serve information about specific vendors, but it might be, if you're looking for a specific ATS and somebody's recommended one, a directory is a great place to go, because you can see a bit more about that particular ATS, and you can see perhaps some of the reviews that people have provided online. Those reviews are valuable. They definitely add value. But actually, making sure that you're only considering the applicant tracking systems that we know are a good match against your specific requirements. That's something that you can't do anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's really the gap that our tool plugs.
Amazing.